Welcome to Go For Side Effects, everybody. I'm your host, Kevin Simon, and tonight I got very special guests that are going to be on with us. But y'all know my co-host, John, which he's going to get in trouble by the end of the night, I guarantee you. And then you all know Wade. How y'all doing today, guys?
Doing good.
Doing great.
All right, and I want to introduce everybody to my daughter, Haley. Haley, say hello.
Hi.
Hi, Haley.
And everybody else in Wonderland is saying hello to you. So tonight we got a very special go for. We're not going to say babies because they're not babies anymore. Our kids, our family members who have been affected by the Gulf War. And so let's start off the topic by first telling everybody a little bit about yourself, Haley.
Like about me personally or my health issues?
You personally.
Okay. I am a student, student teaching right now currently. Will be graduating in May. I have a daughter and a husband, and that's really takes up most of my time, school and family.
That's very true. And a wonderful granddaughter we have, by the way. And so we're going to kick this off by, first talking with Haley about what's, I know you listen to, the podcast and everything. And the first time that we really noticed about you having issues, what were they?
I had started with like low blood sugar, and passing out a lot, and we weren't sure what was going on. I was in drill team. I danced most of my life, but when I was 16 in drill team before the games, I would feel real sick, and I would hardly make it to the end of the night. Because with all the practice, you don't really eat much. And so my blood sugar would drop really fast, and so we thought hypoglycemia, and then it wasn't hypoglycemia. We thought some kind of result of Gilbert's syndrome, but we really couldn't figure out what was going on. I was just passing out and didn't feel good. I could hardly get out of bed most days.
Yeah, and on top of that, when we were there, like when Haley would even work, her work would call us to come pick her up because she'd be passing out. And so,
What age was this, Kevin?
16.
yeah, about 16, and it really progressed more around 17. I think in between 16 and 17 was when it was really progressed. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, I would say my junior year of high school, I spent majority of it really in the hospital and in doctor's offices.
Yes, I will contest to that.
I met the deductible by March.
Yeah. And so what did they end up diagnosing you with?
So I wound up being diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, POTS, and dysautonomia, which they call kind of like the triad. So the triad, the third one of like the POTS dysautonomia is kind of combined together, and then you have EDS. And then the third one, as they were looking for towards the end of my junior year in high school, closer to my senior year, was MCAS, which is the multiple cell disorder where, you have a flare-ups. They were looking for that for my GI symptoms, but you can only find it during a flare-up, and it's hard to find. And they're really, really skeptical about doing all of those tests on someone so young. And the insurance didn't really want us to go through with it. So, so I'm formally diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and POTS, but we have no sort of diagnosis for what's wrong with my GI system.
Would you mind describing your GI symptoms?
Yeah, so it started with just real bad pain. I couldn't get out of bed, and then I spent every morning sort of throwing up. And so they put me on antacids, and I mean that kind of helped, but it wasn't any sort of GERD or anything like that. They did a stomach emptying test because they thought maybe I had an issue, like where my stomach just wasn't emptying all the way, and so I was just throwing up because my stomach couldn't empty itself. I so further into that, I got just such bad stomach pain they couldn't find the result. I had a baby, and then my gallbladder had to be taken out, and which is common with pregnancy. Your gallbladder sort of is overloaded by that. So my gallbladder came out, and then after that, I had diverticulitis, which is extremely rare in my age group. And so within the span of a year, I had two colonoscopies.
Yeah.
Yeah, which the doctors were not happy about that. And I later went to a different GI for another opinion, because it's just frustrating to hear nothing's wrong, but if you have another flare up of diverticulitis, we're going to have to take out that part of your colon, so they also took me, through the CAT scans, just everything, blood tests, everything. And they found no reason why I had diverticulitis. Cleared up the infection, and then October, so that happened January of 21. October of 21, I was back in the hospital for unidentified lower GI bleed. Still have no idea what caused it. And I like randomly will get them now from time to time, but I don't go back to the hospital for it because they didn't do anything for me. So I won't go unless I need blood for it.
And of
Did they?
course, sorry, John, and of course, when she was bleeding, I went in a hospital. I'm like, they're not going to find a diagnosis. They're just not. And, it's just the truth. I mean, so what I would like to do, John, did you have a question?
Well, I mean, so did you for your pots, Haley? Did they give you a tilt table test?
So my doctor's office did not have a tilt table, so we did it makeshift where I laid down, stood up, laid down, stood up, laid down, stood up over and over and over again. So yes, that's how they diagnose it, is a tilt table, but you get the same
Did
results.
you pass out pretty quickly?
Um, I didn't let myself pass out. All they had to see was the blood pressure rise like that. So
Oh,
yeah, so my heart rate skyrockets and blood pressure drops, and then so then I just like sat down and I was like, okay, you saw what you needed to see, right? And like, yep, because I don't like passing out. No one, yeah. I passed out at work in the drive-through of a very popular corporation where they have their workers standing outside. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. They're closed on Sundays.
They sell chicken.
Yeah, I was standing outside taking orders, and I started to feel real bad. So I start calling, like, hey, can I get some water, or come inside or switch out with someone really quick? And we were so busy that they just didn't answer me. And so I wound up passing out into the like drive through where the cars were. And my manager and my boyfriend at the time, husband now, was working there too, and he came running outside and they carried me in. But so that was fun. That's the last time I've really let myself get to the point where I will pass out. As soon as I feel like I'm going to, I lay down or sit down or put my head between my knees, because I do not like passing out.
Yeah, and I want you to, when we were talking about Wade's daughter has a lot of common things with you around about the same time, which we thought was weird.
Okay, so like the stomach issues and all of that.
Right. She was also diagnosed with POTS, and
Oh, okay.
about give or take, she'll be 20 in March.
Okay, I'm 20.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, by about in that 16, 17 time frame, she was diagnosed with the POTS. She's been she did the colonoscopy and endo. Scheduled for another one later this year
Yeah.
down at the university. Um, uh, Diagnosed with anorexia,
Mm.
generalized anxiety disorder, and um, but yeah, the GI issue is horrible. But like you said, the severe pains,
Yeah.
where the stomach hurts, you just start crying, you don't want to move.
Yeah, so there's just one specific time in my mind where I was just frustrated. We had gone to the hospital because of my stomach pains, and it was like my stomach was in pain, but also anytime I ate something, I was immediately nauseous,
Yep. Yep.
or I had to go to the bathroom right away. Like I
Yep.
couldn't keep anything in, and it hurt. So my mom took me to the hospital, gave me fluids, pat me on the back, sent me on my way because I couldn't find anything. And they found in my blood test that I had inflammation somewhere. And so their immediate thought, I also was running fever. So their immediate thought is appendicitis. So they sent me to get an ultrasound for that. There was nothing. So they look at my gallbladder, nothing. And they can't find the inflammation anywhere, but that's not really the ER's job, anyways. So, they gave me, said go back to your primary care and they'll figure out, you must have an infection somewhere. It was a high CRP. So
So
they sent me, so the next day I wake up and I'm in pain and I mean, just in so much pain that my mom's like, what do you want me to do? And take you back to the hospital? And, she was frustrated too. And I was like, yes. So she takes me back to the hospital. It's the same doctor. And he's like, okay, if you're in this much pain, then we'll just admit you and run every test under the sun to figure out what's going on. And they did, and they found nothing. And that's what led my allergist to believe that I probably had the mast cell disorder.
Okay, what's a mast cell disorder?
It's what I was talking about, MCAS. I can't remember all like the entire name of it now, but it's mast cell inflammatory disorder. It's basically where
Okay.
flare up. You have flare ups. Like I've had like I'll just break out into rashes sometimes, random fevers under stress and stuff like that, and so that could be it. But I'm not formally diagnosed, so.
So Kevin, while your daughter's going through all this, did you realize at the time that she was struggling with that she likely was having these issues because of your service time?
I knew right away.
Did you?
Yeah. As soon as the bleeding came, I was like, they ain't gonna find one damn thing wrong with you. And the weird part is for those who have kids, you feel horrible about it. You see your kids struggle and everything, and you can't explain to them what they have because you don't know what you have and everything. And so it's been really, really weird of the time that when me and Wade were talking about his daughter, my daughter going through it at the same time and everything. And I want to say hi to Sarah that is just now joining us. And Ryan, how are y'all doing?
Good, not too bad. And you?
Oh, we're doing great. So we were explaining about my daughter and her problems with her GI and EDS, POTS, everything.
They can't. The YouTube people are having trouble hearing the Zoom people, so.
Okay.
But someone's gonna come fix that.
Okay. And so, um, now are y'all able to also hear John and Wade and Haley?
Hey Ryan, Sarah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. How you doing?
Good, you guys?
Not too bad.
No, they can only
Good.
hear your feed.
Guys, had a safe drive back?
Oh yeah, we just got back. Literally just got back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, only one idiot on the road that wanted to brake check me.
Hey, you know, um, when Haley was a baby, I um, I never once thought that what is the possibility of her, you know, ever getting, you know, anything we got from the Gulf War. And that's one thing that you know, now look back. She's had pneumonia more than anybody I known. At least once a year, she was in a hospital for it.
That's all I thought.
Mine was a strep throat. She was good for a strep throat at least once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Just had her in yesterday.
I had a strep throat so often they had to keep switching out the different antibiotics they were giving
Yep.
me.
Yep.
And so eventually they said just to take the tonsils out because I had it just so many times. So
That's what I'm very surprised they didn't either take them out or suggest that in the past. But yeah,
You know,
I just was a very like sick kid from when I was a baby. I was colicky and everything.
And my daughter was the same thing. I mean, my daughter had terrible colic. My wife still will sit there and, you know, tap her leg because my daughter, I mean, she was completely opposite of my son. And she immediately, I mean, she was only born a year after my son, like a year and 10 days after my son. So, had a multitude of issues herself, but I don't. So there's a 10-year difference between your guys' daughter and mine. My daughter's 30. So
oh, I could add a comment.
it's,
It's an old comment, but you know, who was counting on this? You know what I mean? You know.
oh, you're gonna
Now-
go to the age thing. You're gonna call me an old bastard. You're a guy. I know. I see where this is going already. I know. I see how you are.
Well, I have a question, John. You brought up POTS. Does
Yes, sir.
any of your kids ever been diagnosed with anything?
My daughter has POTS.
You know, isn't it weird that it's mainly found in females?
did you happen to pay attention to the Facebook group, the Gulf War Babies and Parents group? She threw out a random question about, you know, signs and symptoms, and this has been, you know, a month or two ago, less than 2 months ago, and I just kind of paid attention to the responses and looked, and I kept track, and POTS and digestive issues and mental conditions were the three top that, you know, I just kind of randomly, not feeling any scientific, but randomly tracked. It seemed to be in the highest of, and I didn't break it down by male or female, but that was what it seemed like she got the highest response for.
Wow,
Which I
that's
just thought,
crazy.
I thought that was interesting because us just in a small community group talking about it.
See, it's kind of, so I asked, so I said my daughter's 30, so you know it right after, I mean, so she was born clearly, I mean, you know, I mean in May of 92, and I just think it's kind of interesting because us as Gulf War veterans and a lot of us that are in our 40s, mostly in our late 40s and 50s, are just those of us who've had communication and start to understand through our research that, oh, what I'm dealing with is a result of the fact during my time in the Gulf. Or, you know, in Sarah's case, you know, the vaccine thing. It's just, it's kind of interesting. And I didn't put two and two together until, I don't know, 2016, 2017, something like that. And it was kind of, and I hadn't been on the internet trying to figure out because I didn't even consider the fact that it could be something related to my service. Never dawned on me.
Well, now
You know?
this will be an interesting question, Sarah. How
Yes,
about
sir.
how about for y'all, for your children? I would like to know, do they have any effects from you being vaccine injured?
We don't know if it's specifically related, cause not always being causation, or correlation not always being causation. But they did have some similar things to your daughters, expressing allergies, which, is normal kid things. My oldest daughter seems to have a lot more possible neurological components. She's been diagnosed with um, different mental health concerns, but the things that are trouble to diagnose are mental health and neurological. Those are like the top two most difficult
Right.
diagnosed
How about POTS?
concerns. For myself, and that's what I was going to ask about your daughters and others that have been diagnosed with POTS. I was diagnosed with POTS in 2015 when the neurologist at the University of Washington gave me what was called a Q-SARS test. And that's when they determined that my POTS was caused by autonomic neuropathy. And my autonomic neuropathy was caused by nerve damage, which the War-Related Injury and Illness Studies Center out of Palo Alto, California, had diagnosed me with what they believe is GBS that caused the nerve damage, that caused the autonomic neuropathy. So until we have more research and more studies, of course, to determine what is causing these issues, it's all hypothesis at this point. But I do believe that either our children have genetic mutations passed on from us, from the toxic exposures that have genetically mutated our genetic makeup, and it is not just affecting those that gave birth while on active duty, but it's also affecting those children that have been given birth after service as well.
Yeah, and that's what needs to be done. You know, with the burn pits out there, I know Wade, you want to talk about that. What do you want to bring up about that?
Well, I've been doing quite a bit of research and just doing a lot of reading, and talked to a VSO actually with the VFW today. Had a long conversation with him. I think it's, in my opinion, of course, this is an opinion based group here that we have, and we're not all going to have the same opinion. So if you disagree with me, I still love you. But you're wrong. Anyway, so we get back to the original reason for this podcast: Goal for illness. Okay, I've been dealing with this since 1995. This is the signs and symptoms, which you guys have all seen, for Gulf War illnesses, that is presumed. If it's presumed, if you served in Desert Storm and you have this, it is presumed that you're good to go. Out of this, I have yet to be rated for anything, but I have 5 of the conditions. I'm sure that's very common among a lot of Gulf War illness veterans. Like the VSO told me today, just because it's a presumed condition, don't presume you're going to get rated for it. In 95, I was in my mid-20s. Now that we're at 2023, I'm in my mid-50s. Our bodies are aging. The current one that I'm dealing with the VA, I'm just going to use my own personal health history and use the facts that we have here. I'm in an appeal for cluster headaches. This has been going on for 12 years now. Cluster headaches are described as a neurological condition from unknown etiology, meaning unknown effects. We have no idea how or why they're caused. They have presumed condition for Gulf War illness, neurological signs and symptoms, fits cluster headaches, or headache, right? Fits cluster headaches. But yet, both of those are presumed, but yet it has taken me 12 years and countless appeals and nothing. But in May of 22, Robert Haley from Texas signed off on the final thing that sarin exposure being the sole cause of our illness. But with the 3 sets of different groups of people, Sarah being vaccine injured, Kevin, you were on a ship in the ocean, and John and I in the sand. We were in 3 different locations, 3 different times. I personally don't buy into that. But if we were to believe that, the government would have to admit that they caused this whole thing, because we blew up the sarin, we exposed our troops. Well, they don't want to do that because that's a lot of money. And then lo and behold, we come up with the PACT Act, which just came out. No, everybody has stopped talking about Gulf War illness, and now everybody's on the bandwagon for the PACT Act, which I'm great, jump on. So now the PACT Act, the presumptive, again back to my own, reproductive cancer. I have prostate cancer. I'm filing a claim just to go through the motions for comp and pen for prostate cancer, melanoma. I've had 4 different large chunks of melanoma removed. It's a presumptive. Am I going to get awarded? We'll wait and see. Asthma, sinusitis, both of those, we'll see. A lot of people, they throw this out there and a lot of people get excited. There's a lot of veterans, even Gulf War veterans of today, that don't even know these exist. And then all of a sudden we get a nice media buzz, a nice Facebook buzz, and then all these veterans run to the VA. Well, the VA's numbers jump up huge. Well, the VA needs money. Their budget jumps up. And in my opinion, again, this is just nothing to get bodies into the VA, to get their budget up, to continue on doing it business as usual. And it's taken over 30 years that we started with the original one. Is it going to take 30 more before we get anything done with burn pits?
Right.
And John, you were in the desert. I know what a burn pit in the Desert Storm looked like. And that was just a hole that we threw MRE boxes in, letters from home, generalized trash, threw a little bit of diesel on it and caught it on fire. And that's not a burn pit.
And you saw one example of the burn pit that I put on was burning human feces.
You got your little barrel. Would pour some diesel on it. And okay. And Sarah, I'm sorry, I didn't miss you. Is it Brian? Ryan, I apologize.
Ryan.
Brian, okay.
Ryan.
You're post Brian. Yeah, you're post 9/11.
Yeah,
correct?
I joined in '94.
Okay.
I joined the Desert Storm, and I've done the burn pits in Iraq.
You've seen what a real burn pit is.
Yeah, I did the burn pits. I lived on an oil refinery for 8 months, and we were constantly walking through the oil sludge that was on the ground in Iraq.
And the constant burning 24/7, medical waste, all kinds of waste are burning. And it's burning, and you're breathing it in 24/7. The burn pits, which was a burn hole, or a bonfire, if you will, a big bonfire. That's what we had in Desert Storm. You don't sit there when you're on the border of Saudi and Iraq and have a big, ginormous fire going. To let the enemy know where you're at. And to me, I think it's a crock of shit. I think it's going to go nowhere. I mean, I could be wrong. That's the only reason I'm going through and filing this, just so I can come back in 6 months to let everybody know where I'm at. Yes, I'm fired up. Sorry, Kevin.
No. That's good.
The War-Related Illness and Injury Study Center, the only reason it was even presented and started was because of Gulf War veterans, but now they're branching off and they're studying everybody else. But what do we, just like us, what did we start for? They're studying and they're studying, but nobody's coming up with a causation or a cure, not even a treatment.
Right.
But you're going to tell me not only did we come up with one, but we came up with 3 vaccines for the world's deadliest epidemic virus. And we came up in 6 months to a year, we came up with 3 vaccines. You got to be shitting me.
And see, but that's what bothers me. That's what bothers me the most. This is nothing but a
huge VA money game. Get the bodies in the door, and they're going to deny until you die. And I'm sorry, that's the way I feel.
I have a letter in my medical records for the burn pits and the oil refinery, but my percentage for those is 0. I didn't get rated by those.
Correct, 0. I have IBS, 0.
Yeah. So, and I mean, in 2020, I died 70 times in 2 months. I passed a blood clot, destroyed half my heart and my lungs. And it's just, back and forth between a civilian hospital and dealing with the VA. I mean, I have almost $200,000 in hospital bills still that the VA has not paid for all my surgeries in 2020.
See, and that's just wrong. I know that with a lot of things out there, that they could come up like, you were talking about, Wade, that they can get a vaccine to save all these lives, but they can't figure out what was in the anthrax vaccine.
But it's, it is interesting. All of y'all, we haven't really talked about the whole vaccine in reference to, our government. And we've talked a little bit about the COVID, and like Wade says, they somehow managed to come up with a vaccine and in short order, but yet they couldn't come up with something for ourselves. And we really don't use the word guinea pigs lightly, because that's exactly how we all feel. Anybody that's had any issues from the military, because we're the ones that signed on the dotted line, and we'd all do it again. Everybody has regrets about certain things, but yeah, this COVID, the vaccine thing, and of course our government, depending on who you're listening to on the news stations, they keep on pushing. Well, now you got to get vaccinated for this, or you got to get vaccinated, a booster for that. And I'm like, oh hell no. I did it twice, and that's it. I mean, yeah, maybe call me gullible, if you will, like 3/4 of the rest of the nation, with a few holdouts. But I mean, we all make our choices, right? I bet, yeah, right? Can't come up with a vaccine from what we went through, but yet they can pound out a vaccine, and they say, well, medicine's changed. Well, my aching ass. No, it's about what our government wants us to.
Okay,
wants the people to leave.
But think about this, John. Wade, Sarah, think about this. If you're exposed to anthrax, what's the first thing they give you? Cipro.
Atropine.
Cipro will fight off the anthrax. So why did we just take Cipro the whole damn time while we were out there?
Well, the claim is that
did we have Cipro back then? I don't even know.
Yes.
Did we? Okay,
Yes.
I don't know.
Go
I'm sorry,
ahead, Sarah.
Sarah.
I was just going to say the claim is that the vaccination was supposed to minimize the effect of the possibility that you were exposed to anthrax. And then the event that you were exposed, then you would get the antibiotic to treat the anthrax exposure. But I do know that veterans that have been exposed to anthrax, they had to take the antibiotic for over a year after the exposure, and the complications from the antibiotic as well.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, good clarification.
So Ryan, what would you say is different from when you got out of the military? So when did you ETS, Ryan?
I retired in 2012.
2012. Okay, so what would you say is different from your time in service versus our time in service about the medical things?
Medical field across the board in the VA and in the military, almost all branches, it is substandard. They are there just as what they are, as a Band-Aid. They don't really do anything to help fix anything. That's why all of my last surgeries since 2018 to now have been done in a civilian hospital. The VA, I won't allow the VA to touch me. And every 6 months, I have to go in and get a heart cath done. And they go through my jugular vein, and the VA wants to do it. I won't let them do it.
God, and you are young.
Yeah.
I'm 46. I've had 5 heart attacks.
Oh, shit.
Holy crap, really?
I take 3 different medications now that literally are here to keep me alive. I've been on blood thinners since 2008 when I got blown up in Iraq. And I mean, I've probably passed half a dozen or more blood clots. I mean, I trashed my back. I broke my back in 2009. Everything that I've done since I got out has all been civilian hospitals. I will not go to the VA. I just don't trust them. And I've been to lived in several different places and been to several different VAs, and I still I don't trust them.
Well, that's like with Haley. I'm going to bring her back on. You know, what does it feel like knowing that later on that you may not ever know what it is? I mean, what does that make you think about?
Well, it's frustrating, and it's also sad to think about all the kids out there of Gulf War vets who still probably aren't informed on everything. It is so hard to go to hospital after hospital, doctor after doctor, test after test, and be told that all of your tests are normal, you're fine. On the kids side of it, I can tell you that we are told over and over again that we're young and that we're not in pain and that we're not we're not overly exhausted. We're just dehydrated, or you're not eating enough, or whatever. Like, you're told time and time again that you're not really sick and that you're just it's your fault. You're not drinking enough water. That's why you're passing out. And then you get diagnosed with things and you feel understood, but then you get those diagnoses and they tell you in turn there's nothing you can do for it. So
Haley, do you often tell whatever provider that you see that you are a Gulf War baby? Are they aware of that? Do you make them aware of that or no?
So I mostly tell them about the disorders that I have now, but I don't. Since I've had my daughter, I haven't had a real primary care physician. They've been hard to come by because I went from pediatrician to having a baby. Like, my pediatrician took me up until I had a baby. So I haven't found a true primary care doctor that I've gotten, into it with, just only. But and then before I just wasn't informed. We thought maybe it could have to do with Gilbert syndrome that my dad had when he was younger, but it's really not the same symptoms.
Yeah. But she got this toe, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a toenail, and we call it the fugly toe.
Yeah, I got that. I got that because of his Gilbert syndrome. It's just like a thicker, like thicker nail than the rest. It's almost like calcium.
Idea. My oldest daughter has the same thing.
Really?
But
What is it again? Explain it again.
It's called Gilbert syndrome. It's
Gilbert?
I think
Gilbert.
she's talking about the toe.
Yeah. But Sarah, you're talking about the toe, right?
yeah.
Gilbert syndrome is 1 out of 3 million people in the United States get it. It's not deadly, but it can be mistaken for a lot of things, and like jaundice, anything where you turn yellow, and all that. And so I was diagnosed with that in the military, and it's something they say is hereditary. You don't, they're like, oh yeah, you didn't get it from the Gulf War, but they diagnosed me in the military with it. And so that literally, I passed that down to her big toe.
Yeah, it's just it's permanently yellow, and just thicker than. It's just a really, really thick nail.
Just one toe?
Yeah,
Just one toe. Just like
Wow.
my ring finger toe.
Huh.
Yeah. So every time she
Is that
looks at that
painful?
toe, no,
No, not at all.
No?
You actually less feeling, I would say, in that nail than any other. It's just such a just a really, really thick nail.
we're coming to the end now of the program, but we are going to bring more of this topic back up because I know Wade's got a lot of information he wants to bring
Hey,
out
and,
there.
Yes,
and
sir.
when we sign off, everybody just hang tight because we kind of made a mistake last time and didn't
Yeah,
tell
got off a
them.
little fast. But I want to leave Wade, go ahead. I want to leave you with your last words.
I say it every time. I'm still in this fight, mostly for the kids. I don't have high hopes that for us adults, they're going to find a cure. I just encourage everybody just to keep fighting, don't give up. Just keep driving forward. That's what we were trained to do. Keep going. Keep your head high.
Sarah and Ryan, y'all can each have your own last words.
I just want to say thank you again for having us on the show. And thank you, Kevin, and everyone for all that you do for our veteran community. I think it's very important that everyone understands that all the things that we have now, all the benefits we have achieved are because of veterans that have stood up and fought for those rights and stood before U.S. Congress and mandated that the VA take care of us. And that's what we're doing right here today in this roundtable. So I just want to say thank you for all of you for coming together and making a difference. It's the only way that we make a change in the VA is by coming together. How about you?
Well, thanks for allowing me to be on the show. And one of the main things is, even if the VA says no, for me, I want that second opinion. I want that third opinion. So as soon as they tell me no on anything, I just turn around and say, I need a referral to the outside. And I go find a different doctor. I mean, the furthest I've driven was 6 hours to go see a different doctor.
Wow.
Just to find out the truth and then bring it back to the VA, because they're going to hold back on what they're going to tell you. They're not going to give you the whole story, and they're going to hold back and cut it out. And I think it's wrong. They should be upfront and honest, regardless of what the issue is. They should be upfront and honest. I mean, that's the only way we can find a way to get better, live a more profitable life.
Man, well spoken. Haley, you got any last words?
Thank you for having me on and, talking with me. It's so crazy to hear all of the different things that the children have in common, and I think there should be a deeper dive into that for sure, because needless to say that if all of these things are reoccurring in the children, it's possible that things were genetically modified, within the Gulf War vets, which is crazy and not okay.
I agree to that. I agree 100%. And to you, John, what are them last famous words?
I don't have any really last famous words, so to speak. I just thanks for everybody for coming on. This has been one of our more somber podcasts, only because what we talk about is not not something any of us wanted to go through. It's just we accept it for what it is and looking for things that can help us. And one of the things that I had my brother, he says, I just got to look forward, have something to look forward to in my life when I wake up. So, every day today, got to have something to look forward to, whatever the hell that something is, whether you're able to work or, I personally I volunteer at the high school. It's one of the things I really enjoy is, being able to have the opportunity to teach young people. I kind of phrase it as outside of the box information that maybe the instructor maybe doesn't have the time to share. So just give yourself something to look forward to, something to get out of bed in the morning for, because we all got to have that.
Amen.
And for my last final thoughts, they're good thoughts. No carrots, nothing like that. No Polaroids. Sorry, I had to bring that up. So, Sarah, I had to bring that up. All right. Here's my thoughts. Keep beating the drums. Pound them as hard as you can until they hear us. Each and every one of us. All the way from the Korean War guys all the way up to the guys who are in now that are just getting out. If we all don't come together, we don't have a fight. But with all of us in the same game, on the same team, we could kick their ass and we can start getting answers and start figuring out. So everybody needs to beat that drum. And so I want to thank each and every listener out there. And right before we close, I do want to let everybody know in 2023, we had our algorithms messed up by certain people out there that I'm not going to go into full detail that downloaded our stuff and then spread it out. And so me, Sarah, Wade, and John all got talking about this and about what our expectations for this podcast is. And we would like to take this and do roadshows. Come talk to people, get the word out more, have people come out there. So we locked some of them down. And we only put them up for 99 cents if people want to go back, listen to the podcast, to the earlier shows. All of 2023 is going to stay up until 2024. We're going to lock them down and people can go back. This way we can raise money, help us also to put on a show, get out there, start spreading our message. That's what this is about. So to clarify, it's for month. It's not per show. It's 99 cents a month. So you know, and if the FBI or anybody else wants to download my crap, by golly, come on, I'll take your damn money. The DOD, any of them. I mean, Senate, Congressman. That's how I feel about it. Y'all started this shit show. We're going to end it. We want the truth. That's all we're asking for. And we are asking for the ones who do come on here and talk about what they're going through and everything. We thank them. Ryan, it's nice meeting you, but you're definitely coming back on my show.
Yeah. It's easy to ignore one voice.
Right.
But it's very hard to ignore 100 or more.
That's right. We need to keep this podcast going and share it and like it. But I want to thank each and every listener out there, and we're going to close with that. Y'all have a great night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Go For Side Effects. If you have any stories you would like to share or just have any comments or questions, please email me at kevinsimon@goforsideeffects.com.